What's up, everybody? Fed Day. I'm going to talk about that. It is Wednesday, September 17th. I just got back from my sparring session, Wednesday night sparring session. I sparred with a heavyweight tonight. Makes a big difference, man. I can feel those punches. Head wobbling. All right. So today, just like I said, Powell. First of all, we know that the Fed was going to cut interest rates because, like I always say, the Fed does exactly what the market tells them to do. That is the Powell Fed. That's how they operate. But I've been telling you guys that Powell has been brought into this rate cut kicking and screaming. He doesn't want to do it. He absolutely didn't want to do it because it makes him look like he lost to Trump. Because Trump's been pushing for rate cuts, and now, the FOMC members, they all voted for this rate cut. And I said that just watch what Powell says in the press conference. He's going to squash it down. He's going to temper down any kind of enthusiasm about further rate cuts, even though, by the way, the dot plot, and that's what FOMC Fed members expect, where they expect to see rates out in the future, and they said by 2027, basically 3%. So there you have it. We're going to start to slowly trend down on the 10-year, which is the benchmark. We're going to start to slowly trend down towards that yield. All right, unless something changes. But right now, the Fed has injected that expectation into the market, and so we are in a treasury bull market. It's not going to be like crazy going up like crazy. It'll be a slow. Those are the types of bull markets I like the best, because that's your classic, climbing the wall of worry. Like, people never really get enthusiastic about it. They never, it's not one of these FOMO, fear of missing out rallies. It goes slowly. Nobody really pays attention to it. Getting in is a low risk situation at this point. It's like the old story of put the frog in a pot of water and you turn the heat on and it slowly heats up. The frog doesn't know. And by the time the frog realizes, it's too late. Okay? It's like people buying into the gold market right now. They didn't do that in 2022 when it was 1,600. They're doing it now at 3,700. So let me get back to Powell. I think I got such a good read on this guy. I tell you, I'm inside his head. I know exactly, because I know this kind of personality. Okay? He's arrogant. He's egotistical. He's petty. He's vindictive. We've seen it in his behavior. It's obvious. It's obvious to me anyway. So of course, in the Fed cuts rates. They had a fairly, I thought, dovish statement that they came out with. All right, and then he goes into the press conference, and I advised all my subscribers. I said, just watch. This is going to happen, and he shuts it down. He said, basically, we're doing this as some risk management. Don't get your hopes up about more rate cuts. We're going to go month to month and see what's happening. Yeah, the labor market looks a little soft, but we're still worried about inflation and blah, blah, blah. He tamped it down. He squashed it down. I knew he was going to do that, because he came into this rate cut, like I've been saying, kicking and screaming. He absolutely didn't want to do it. The guy feels like he lost out to Trump, and I knew he was going to come in here and he was going to squash expectations, which I said to you guys, he's handing you a gift on a silver platter. We saw Treasury 10-year yield. It was below 4%. It popped up to I think almost 410, 409 something. It's like 408 something right now. I had some people here saying, I thought you said rates are going to go up, but you said I mean, some of you guys, I wonder how old you are. Kind of like, you almost like your behavior a little bit like children. Mike, you said this was going to happen, and it didn't happen exactly immediately as you said. I mean, where'd you think it's going to go? 10%? We got to bounce up in the yield. It could still go. Don't forget, the Fed's policy rate is 4% to 4.25%. It could go up to 4.25%. It could go a little bit beyond 4.25%, not much, and it could go down below 4%. That's the band. That's their policy range right now. Just like when it was 4.25% to 4.5%, we had some period of time when it was below 4.25%. We had some period of time when it was above 4.5%, but it stayed in that vicinity. So all I'm saying is that I told you that Powell was going to behave this way. I told you exactly what he was going to do. All right? First of all, I don't even, like you must know this by now if you've been watching me, I don't even follow these stupid meetings. I do it kind of like as a courtesy, my subscribers. I try to impart some, just some insight into what's going on so people are prepared. I do it on this channel. Me personally, I don't care about these meetings. I think monetary policy is stupid. I think relying on monetary policy to regulate the economy is idiotic. It could do very little. And so I don't pay attention, but I do understand the impact of monetary policy, the true impact of monetary policy, not in the way all these monetarists believe it works. And they kneel at the altar of the Fed thinking, I don't do that, okay? Because I understand that the Fed has very limited tools. Basically, what the Fed should do is what it was created to do in 1913, which is basically be a lender of last resort and to oversee the financial system as a regulator. When they added this stupid Humphrey Hawkins thing, what was that, in 1978 or something like that, that ceded management of the economy to the Fed, where the Fed had really no tools to do that. So I don't pay attention. But I told you this is exactly what Powell was going to do. He was going to squash the whole enthusiasm. He was going to say, hey, don't get your hopes up. We're not cutting rates so fast. You ignore him at this point because he gave away his secret at the, not a secret, he surrendered basically, not even surrendered, he flip-flopped at the Jackson Hole conference back in August when he decided, okay, we're going to switch our focus now to the labor market. And once he did that, he set himself up for a continuing series of rate cuts. Because I'm telling you guys, the tariffs and AI is going to lead to very weak hiring and I think a significant increase in layoffs as firms do what they need to do to maintain profit margins, cost cutting, laying people off, implementation of AI. So there you have it, folks. There you have it. I told you exactly what Powell was going to do. I know this guy like the back of my hand, inside and out. He's such an easy read. I'm not even a poker player, but if I played poker against this guy, I bet I'd beat him every single time because he's so easy. I mean, these people who are of this character, this is like a one-way street with these people. When they're egotistical, okay, when they're arrogant, when they're petty, when they're vindictive, They can only act in a certain way. They don't have any flexibility. So it's very, very easy, as opposed to somebody who's more open-minded, who's not defensive, who's not an egomaniac. Okay, I don't know how he practices law, if he practices law in the same way as he runs the Fed. But anyway, I told you. And let me just say one more thing, which is not related to economics. I felt I was in a funk all day today. I've talked about this many times. I don't know why we had all day. It was kind of like this rainy, tropical rain. It was here in Florida. Florida is called the Sunshine State for a good reason. It's sunny every single day. I guess I'm spoiled now from living down here. But like today was kind of overcast and rainy and stuff like that. I don't know. That was maybe part of it. But I was in a funk today. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. But I went to boxing. I had some really good, hard sparring sessions. Like I said, I sparred with this heavyweight. And I feel good right now. So I'm saying this to you guys again. You don't have to go box, but exercise. Exercise is just a miraculous thing. For your body, for your mind. Whenever you feel down, some people might resort to booze. Some people might resort to drugs. Not that I'm against, a glass of wine every now and then. You've seen me. Sometimes Fridays, But, man, exercise will get you out of that funk. And intense exercise. Intense exercise. And I'm telling you, if you want to know what I think, and I'm 68, there's nothing like boxing. Maybe I should just say there's nothing like combat sports. I used to do jujitsu, and that was also the same thing, like rolling around on the mat and, kind of grappling, wrestling. But getting hit, man, that's something else, let me tell you. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Don't forget, go to my website, pitbulleconomics.com, and sign up for a 30-day free trial to MMT Trader. See you tomorrow. Bye.